Hello, out of school time, teachers, professionals, and youth development professionals. This is Georgia Hall from the National Institute on Out of School Time at Wellesley College, and I'm happy to share with you some information about building literacy-rich environments in out of school time programs. We've been working on this aspect of the out of school time program quality field for a number of years and hope that the information we have learned in this work will be helpful to you. I've included contact information at the end of this slide deck, so please feel free to reach out to contact us at any time. America's literacy rates remain a national challenge, and fourth grade reading scores tell the story. Children who do not become proficient readers by fourth grade are on a trajectory for a wide array of negative consequences in school and later in life. According to the National Research Council, academic success, as defined by high school graduation, can be predicted with reasonable accuracy just based on third grade reading skills. We believe that children, all children, even the most vulnerable, can achieve the benchmark of reading proficiency by the end of third grade. And there's mounting evidence that suggests that after-school programs and summer learning programs can play a vital role in improving literacy outcomes for children. Research overwhelmingly reveals that the early years are the single most important period of time during which literacy development occurs in a person's life. You can see here a list of early literacy skills that children, when they're young, really need to acquire. So alphabet knowledge, phonological awareness. This is about the connection between sounds and segments of words and letters together. Phonological memory, being able to write one's name. Automated, rapid naming of letters, digits, objects, and colors. Here's an interesting chart. If you can imagine student A, student B, and student C. Student A reads for about 20 minutes a day at home, student B for about 5 minutes a day, and student C for about 1 minute a day. And so over the course of the year, student A will have heard through reading 1,800,000 words. And student B would have heard through reading 282,000 words, and student C, 8,000 words. They will have read for, by the time they hit sixth grade, student A would have read for 851 hours at home, student B for 212 hours at home, and student C for 42 hours at home. So eventually they get to standardized testing, and student A is likely to score better than 90% of her or his peers, and student B likely to score better than 50% of her or his peers, and student C 10%. So you can see the importance and the value added of 20 minutes a day of reading. Here's some essential elements of literacy instruction that I think we can support and in some ways replicate in the out-of-school time setting. So a focus on phonics and phonemic awareness, what I was talking about before, and this connection between sounds and sounds of letters and letter segments and word segments. Of course, high quality relationships between adults and children, we know, put youth in a position where they're ready to learn, where they feel confident and they feel supported. When we say a print-rich environment, what we mean by that is an environment in which children interact with many forms of print. And I'll list some things for you, like signs and labeled centers, wall stories, word displays, word walls, bulletin boards, charts, poems, and other printed material. Of course, there are lots of different reading and writing activities that children can engage in, writing stories, writing poems, looking at writing, staff sharing their writing with children. And you can vary teaching strategies according to children's needs and meeting children where they are. The goal of differentiated delivery and instruction is really around meeting children where they are, and in that way being able to maximize learning. I want to talk specifically about two particular types of light touch practices for supporting literacy-rich environments. And this is specifically sustained silent reading and reading aloud. I'll tell you a little bit about these two practices and how they can happen in the out-of-school time setting. So sustained silent reading is engagement in free reading of self-selected books for short periods of time. And we recommend that sustained silent reading occur every day in an after-school program and lasts for about 15 minutes for kids in kindergarten and first grade, and for 20 minutes in kids in second through fourth grade. And of course, during the last few minutes of the session, children can exchange stories about what they're reading. The outcomes of sustained silent reading have been the subject of research for several decades now, and studies show that students who read more tend to read better, write better, have a better vocabulary, they read faster, they know more literature, they know more about science and social studies, and they have less writing apprehension and less writer's block. Reading aloud allows children to engage with interesting and enjoyable stories and texts. And perhaps the most important reason to read aloud to children is that it encourages them to read to themselves. As children listen to stories and other texts, their attention span increases. They start to create images in their minds and they make inferences. They become aware of the links between causes and consequences. We recommend each day that for all grade levels, reading aloud should last for about 15 minutes. And this time can include reading and conversation about the book or the text. An entire book doesn't have to be completed in one session. That can continue over time. I want to say a little bit about writing and writing practice and how to support writing. So writing is a really multifaceted task, and it involves the use and coordination of many cognitive processes. And due to its complexity, many students find, and also many adults and many teachers and many facilitators, find writing challenging. And we struggle to find methods to teach writing effectively. This list of recommended practices that are presented here in this slide are based on scientific study of students in grades 4 to 12. The strategies for teaching writing are listed here according to the magnitude of their effects. So this first one, summarizing text, is one of the most powerful ways to support writing. So having students summarize either from experience what they see, what they hear, or what they read somewhere else, and being able to summarize it in their own words is a really, really important writing support and writing skill building activity. For weaker writers and for writers who struggle a little more, it might need additional time and individualized support and some real explicit teaching of things like handwriting and spelling and typing. But all of these interventions that are listed here, word processing, so thinking about words, combining sentences, going from a simple sentence to a more compound sentence, writing with goals in mind, inquiry writing, where you're thinking about your own questions and writing about what you think about, what you question, and doing pre-writing that then leads to what we might call a published piece. So we do numerous drafts and that turns into a published piece that we share with others. All of these interventions are well suited for the out-of-school time program environment. Here's some literacy resources that I think can be helpful to you, some links to different departments, Department of Education, the National Writing Project, the Center on English Learning and Achievement, and the Center for Collaborative Classroom. And I want to also just share with you from our own work at NIOST and from an inventory that we created of skill building in out-of-school time programs, just some real concrete ideas of activities you can do to help build reading, writing, and communication with children in your out-of-school time program. So, of course, staff can read to youth. Staff can sit with youth while the youth are reading. Youth can play word games together. Youth can read in practical situations like instructions. Youth can read and investigate unfamiliar vocabulary words. So having a dictionary nearby and having a word wall are great ways to promote youth acquisition of vocabulary. Youth can write or dictate stories or poems or newspaper articles. Youth play word games that also include some writing element. Youth can collaborate with one another to produce writing and they can share their writing with each other. What can staff do? Staff can do things like have frequent one-on-one conversations with you. Staff can frequently ask open-ended questions. Youth can present in front of peers or other audiences, in front of staff, and youth can participate in group discussions or debate. So I hope these simple practices that are very viable for implementation in out-of-school time programs are things that you can think about and how they can be added to the daily activities that you do in your out-of-school time program. And hopefully these resources, these organizations, they provide lots of knowledge, materials, and support ideas, ways that you can continue to work on building a literacy-rich environment in your after-school program. Please feel free to contact us with any questions. You can reach us at niost@wellesley.edu or at the phone number listed here. We wish you best in your work and take care.